Zach Strazak.
I'm Lexi Prell.
I'm Brian Lewis.
I'm Alec Wolfram.
And I'm Jack Longo, and we are Slip Gripz. Did you know that 75% of statistics are made up? And did you also know that 100% of the time that you fall on ice, you get embarrassed? Well, keep those facts in mind when I tell you this true story that I made up. This is Ryan. Really nice guy, I met him a few years ago. So happy we became such good friends. Well, a few years later, Ryan's heading off to college. Gets in the school he wants to go to. First semester goes by like a breeze. Getting straight A's, everything's going great. So here comes second semester. Ryan's ready to get those A's again. He's excited. He's going to do an awesome job. Well, first day of second semester comes by, and Ryan isn't quite back into the swing of things yet. He looks at his watch and realizes, oh no, he's late for class. So he grabs his backpack, he starts running down the street, sees a cute girl, waves hello, and when he does that, he fails to see the ice right in front of him on the ground. Well, Ryan slips on the ice and down he goes. I guarantee you he's never getting that girl's number. Ryan wouldn't have had this issue if he had our product, Slip Gripz, a device that goes in the bottom of your shoe in order to create more friction when walking on ice. Today, the most common solution for walking on ice is salt. But unless you're carrying around a salt shaker in your pocket, you're relying on other people to put down that salt for you. Of course, you could also do what Ryan did and just never leave your house after that traumatic experience, but something tells me that's not the solution you're looking for.
So how many people in this room have slipped and fallen on ice before? I know I have, and many of you have. Then that's not surprising. As many as 1/3 of adults in the U.S. will slip and fall on ice each year. Recently, Boston Medical Centers reported that up to 40 people per week are visiting their medical centers because of injuries related to slipping and falling on ice. Now, this would not be a problem if more people had Slip Gripz. This is a product that we designed based on many interviews that we've conducted. All of the suggestions that people have made have been compiled into these two models. The first one is a full shoe model that would be a one-time purchase, which is a full shoe slip grip that is securely attached to the shoe using two lanyards that can display the logo of whatever company would be selling the product. The second model is a half shoe device that would stick to the bottom of the shoe using adhesive. It would stick to the bottom and the toe with an area on the front that can display the company logo, whoever would be selling it. Both devices are going to be constructed of a soft rubber material with a hard rubber spike on it to grip the ice with the added benefit of not scratching indoor surfaces such as hardwood floor or tile.
So when we were designing this, we needed to look at why are you slipping on ice? That's the main problem that we need to solve. And what happens is when you step, melting points are discovered from pressure and temperature. So when you're putting pressure on the ground with your foot, it's causing the ice to actually start to melt, making a thin layer of water. So what we need to do is find a device to pierce through that water in order to get to the surface underneath. That's why we're going with these spikes on the bottom of the shoe. So this is the full shoe model that would have your shoe go on the top of it with these straps over the top. And then this is the half shoe model with an adhesive on the bottom that would stick to the bottom of your shoe with this to attach to the toe.
Now in our first phase of business, we're going to be targeting local colleges. We're targeting local colleges because the most common mode of transportation is foot. Also, part of our UVP is that we have a logo of their college that's going to be on our product, which who doesn't want to show school spirit? Throughout our conduction of interviews, we found out that college students have to walk miles on end just to get through classes. Also, they're independent enough that purchasing power, and also they think that the logo is really fashionable and that it really enhances them to buy our product.
So as of right now, we have a few competitors that are targeting a similar problem that we do. So we have Ice Gripz, Nordic Grip, and Yak Trek, which are three companies that primarily target runners for people who want to run during the winter months when the sidewalks and streets aren't completely clear. And we also have Stabilizers and Alps Ice Bikes, which those are two companies that primarily target hikers for up in the mountains. So our company is going to differentiate from these competitors because we are targeting more of the general public, whereas it's just people that are walking on sidewalks from day to day. And also, if you look, all of these companies keep their prices around $15 to $20, and we are planning to have our product price more near $10.
Now, there are four main factors that we're focusing on to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. The first and foremost is that we're going to display college logos on our shoes, or on the slip grips. This will increase the buying point for the college students and entice them to put them on their shoes instead of having these big clunky rubber grips that they have available right now. This will make them more fashionable because they believe that if they have their college logo, it adds a new style factor to it. Ours will be easier. You'll simply step into it and strap it on or stick it on, opposed to taking the rubber and stretching it around your shoe like you have to do right now with their competitors. As well as that our spikes on the bottom of our shoes are going to be a hard rubber as opposed to metal, so the spikes won't scratch indoor surfaces like hardwood or tile or laminate like all the ones that they have right now do.
So our total addressable market is obviously a very big market. I mean, almost everybody, our total addressable market is 1.5 billion. It includes all people in the northern states that have the ability to slip and fall on ice. However, our serviceable market is about 120 million, which includes all of the colleges that are in those northern states, which is about, again, 12 million kids that are in those northern states. And in 5 years, we hope to have about 5% total of all the kids that go to college in those northern states. In year 1, we only want to target Illinois schools, and again, approximately 5% of those students, we want them to buy our product. And then by year 5, we're hoping to have 5% keep that percentage, except in all schools around the northern states that have ice and get below 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so now for our MVP process. I'm sure a majority of you are familiar with the company CleatGuard, which was a group that got funded last year. We have decided to design our MVP process similar to theirs because we have a similarly related product. So we're planning on gathering emails of college students in Midwest, northern colleges. As of right now, we have approximately 250 emails already accumulated. With that, we're going to develop a survey. We're going to send it out to these college students asking basic questions concerning our product. And also with the money, we are going to build prototypes of the 2 models that we showed you. And we are going to send pictures to the college students as well, asking for feedback that way. And then once the prototypes are developed, we are going to test them, give them to college students to test them out on their campuses and get feedback that way as well. Also, for the survey and for getting feedback in general, we are going to include an incentive to hopefully promote more feedback.
So the cost is mostly for making the prototypes. For our one model, it's going to cost about $82, but we're going to try to make 5 of them so we can give them out. Our other model, which is the stick-on adhesive, will be cheaper, so we're approximating we'll probably be able to make about 10 of them, and which again is going to approximate about $100 for that. And with the $100 gift card, our total is going to be about $620.
So, in conclusion, if we go back to the story of Ryan, if Ryan had the slip grips on, not only would he be on time to class, but he would also later meet that girl and get her number. So, please join us in not only saving lives, but also saving college students from humiliation.
Take the answer, bro? Okay. All right.
Great job, a really outstanding job for the first one. I'm very impressed. So my first question would be, what was the $100 gift card for?
It's for an incentive to entice more people to take our survey. Because we're going to be sending out about 200 to 250 emails to college students, and this will just hopefully increase the number of people that will end up taking the survey.
One person's going to win the gift card?
Yes, that's what I mean, instead of doing it splitting up with like $5 or $10 gift cards, we're hoping that the $100 gift card will just be more enticing than like a few small ones.
So are you, and I'm just going to challenge you a little bit on that, so are you actually measuring the value of your product, or are you measuring the value of a survey that you get a gift? I mean, so if someone wouldn't actually want to buy them, but they want the gift card, it may skew your results and give you a different answer than if you had actually gone out there and just focused on the product.
Well,
So
I mean,
just talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And really what the gift card is to do is just have them take the survey in general. Really, we're just looking for information as a whole. So
Yes.
even if that information doesn't positively reflect our product, it's still helpful information that we're getting from them. So even if they really what the $100 gift card is to do is just have them take the survey. So if they take it and they say, okay, honestly, at first this sounded great, but now I'm really not liking what you're doing with it, that's still really valuable information for us. So they wouldn't necessarily have to say something positive about our products in order to still get the gift card.
Right. That's, I mean, it makes sense, but as an investor, that $100 has a different value to me than the value you're putting on it. Because that information, if it isn't valuable, isn't going
I
to.
think it maybe, Cara, a way to pivot on this would be, first of all, when you do customer interviews, like you're suggesting you're going to do, the surveys, it's always best to do those face-to-face. Now you have a challenge because you get 250 and you're high school kids. But there are a lot of universities close by. We, I think, would rather give you $100 to go drive to Northwestern or drive to Northern and sit on campus for hours and collect surveys. And the reason you want to do them face-to-face is because you can have a follow-up question. You can look the potential buyer in the eye and really, truly evaluate the reaction to this product. You won't be able to see that in a survey. So there's a video that Hogs can show you about the importance of face-to-face customer discovery versus surveys. He'll get it to you, you can read about it, and maybe that's a better way to use it. Would that make
Yeah,
you
that's a
feel better?
great, that's an excellent suggestion for how to, yeah, because the value, point I'm trying to is the value of your data is everything.
Yeah.
Of whether your product and company is going to work or not.
How did you settle on the customer segment of college students?
So one thing we wanted to do was originally, we were originally going to target just older people and younger kids, but we realized that it was very hard to find a different, because we did interview a lot of face-to-face people who are 60 years and older, and they found they didn't really care exactly what looked on the shoe, and that's what we're kind of, and there's already a lot of products on the market that would fit them perfectly. So what we originally did with college students was, when we made the strap-on design, we were kind of hoping to see it as like an accessory. We wanted to solve the problem of slipping on ice, but we also want to see it as an accessory
How
for
many
college students.
college students did you interview to find out that they really want an accessory? Or is this you're thinking that, or is it a validated hypothesis?
That's partly what we're going to be validating with.
Yes. And another thing is, like, kind of going off of what Ryan said, is like we all have sweatshirts from colleges and from high schools, and you don't necessarily buy those sweatshirts because you need to stay warm. You have other sweatshirts and coats, but you buy it because you want to show your school spirit, you want to have places that represent the school, and that's kind of what we're doing with the logos on the slip grips, is we're trying to get also into that type of a field in order to say, oh, you know, go to the college store, campus store, and get my slip grips in order to, you know, walk to the game with all my friends, kind of an idea.
Help me understand how you work through the pricing. You arbitrarily throw up $20, which you have good credible evidence with your competitors, and then just arbitrarily throw up 10. One, why'd you pick 10? Give us some credibility, your thought process there, and what are the benefits you see as being half the market?
Well, our competitors, obviously, their materials that they use, a lot of them use metal in it, and so we're trying to avoid that and use more costly materials that are also still effective. So kind of just with what we looked at and the materials, how much they cost in making it, we plan to keep it around $10.
How many units are you going to sell at what, and then what is your cost per unit?
So we're approximating about $5. I mean, that's still, again, we still have to test the actual prototypes to be able to determine exactly how much it's going to cost. So we don't know the exact number completely yet, that's part of what we're trying to figure out here. So, and again, with that approximation of $5, that's why we're kind of hoping to sell at about 10 versus 20, and then be closer to our competitors and less enticing for someone to buy it realistically. So.
Do you want to give them follow-up on the pricing before we leave this topic? Just
Well,
maybe
there's benefits of being at half the market, and there's real disadvantages of being at half the market. You got to sell 10,000 at $10 where you could have sold 5,000 at 20, and how big your market is. So I would encourage you to rethink that. And did you talk to Cleat Guard on how much theirs cost?
Yes, there's around $20.
There's around $20. So $5 is ambitious at a bare minimum, right? So I would encourage you to rethink your pricing strategy. Nobody sets a goal of being half where the market is that I've ever seen. What's the purpose? if they're gonna buy your product, buy it at 20% less or 50% less, or they may pay more, but I'd encourage them, they may pay 35 because it's cool, it's hip, it's a better product. So I would rethink your whole pricing would be my recommendation.
And one other aspect of the cost of goods sold is that your cost per unit hopefully will be going down over time. It shouldn't stay the same. So, you know, when you come back around in a few months, try to think about how when you're starting small, your cost of goods sold will likely be much higher than your 3 or 4 or 5.
I would really encourage you to do these face-to-face interviews like I suggested, but spend a bunch of time figuring out how you want that discussion, what concepts you want to introduce in the discussion. There are a bunch of assumptions that you're trying to validate, price being one of them, but also this idea that people are going to buy because there's a logo on the shoe. There are other motivations that inspire somebody to buy a product. You can look at Tom's Shoe, where they give away a pair of shoes, or the eyeglass company, Warby Parker. There are other angles that perhaps students, your idea of the logo, they might come up with some other ones. So think about just different ways to make the product attractive from not only its functionality, and you can get into the customer segments as well.
And don't forget, last point on the logo is you'll have to license that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sold that it's a college market, because I just don't, I'm not sold yet that you should just narrow to that. But
Yeah, and that's, our options are still open, but that's where we're going right now.
the level wider MVP to at least consider another market space.
One of the things that struck me, the features that you have that was really good is how easy it is to put on your shoe, and you're not pulling and stretching,
Right.
you know. That to me might work for an older audience that has a hard time putting them on. So that's assumption, to Greg's point about, more markets than just, team spirit.
Yeah, and of course we want to eventually expand to doing that, expand to a greater market, more sizes, things like that. When we were trying to decide where to start though, we felt like college made the most sense because the purchasing power, because they're walking so much, but also it was really between college kids and older people. When we were talking to the older generation, it sounded like they weren't as interested in looking at a product that was more fashionable, that was more efficient. They were just happy with putting the clunky ones on and walking to get their newspaper.
Yeah, or, oh, sorry, or I was just gonna say, or if anything, when we did interviews with the older people too, one of the things that they said was, if anything, if it is icy out, then they just don't go outside, so.
Yeah, 'cause it's such a risk.
Have you ever heard of something called skinning? It's a product you put on the bottom of your skis that allow you to walk up a ski. And so a lot of extreme sports people use it, but it's a friction that allows you not to slip, and it's not spikes. You may just want to look at that technology a little bit and repurpose it to the shoe, because one of the things that I'm struggling with is metal on floors and the scratching. I still don't get how you're not going to scratch a floor, but
And actually, so we are trying to make our own prototypes, but that's definitely an option. Like we have found a company that manufactures that technology, 2 shoe companies itself, that is either ice resistant or like oil resistant in kitchens and stuff like that.
so
Which is,
the other MVP you may want to do that you can do really inexpensive here, so just think about it, is have you studied about the Zappo shoe model, the MVP?
Yeah.
Okay, you could probably replicate that
1 minute.
here. Just simply go out and buy your competitors' products, put them on a cool website, rebrand it, but you put no money into the prototype, and you just see, does this sell? And if it sells, maybe I'll manufacture it myself someday, or do my own product. But there's no harm in being a testing out if somebody else's product works. And Zappos doesn't make shoes; they just sell them. Does that make sense?
Hold on. And your slides on your financials in the future, you can't read any of them from my distance, just as a reference.
Okay.
I couldn't see any.
Okay.
All right. Well done.